So I got in the mail something that I normally don't review on my channel, but this is something from Transformers that really hits me to my heart, and it's one of my favorite characters. And so this is a video review of Gutto Kuru Minerva, which is by CM Corp. It's a Japanese company that does like usually the anime girly figure kind of thing. But I really wanted to pick this thing up because Minerva is one of those really obscure female Transformer characters, and to have any kind of merchandise of her is nothing short of a miracle. So this is Protoman, and this is ProtoRetro, and this is a video review of Minerva. So let's do this.
ProtoRetro.
So here we have it, mint in box, Gutto Kuru CM Corp's Minerva, number 49 in the series of the Gutto Kuru girly figures, I guess. Not much I just want to say about the box, except just some cool stuff. You have here on the side her and her pose God awning when she does Master Force as her, like, you know, catchphrase. Here she is without her helmet on, displaying the really cool fact that you could actually have with and without the helmet. There she is holding it, and just some of the other cool stuff I'm going to talk about in the toy when I open it up. Only other thing to mention is she has her tech spec there from the original G1, so that's pretty cool that they left that in. I guess that's it, except this part here. It says Minerva. Originally, Master Force used to have bio cards, like most Japanese Transformers did, but Master Force was one of those few that made the effort to also put them in English. Victory also was responsible for that. And instead of it saying Minerva, it said Minerva. In Japan, V's and B's and R's and L's, they all kind of get mixed up together, and so we ended up with Minerva. It's kind of cool that they made the effort to keep that, whether it be intentional or unintentional, I don't know. Still pretty cool. So, but before we open this toy, and this is why I wanted to emphasize why this is such a big deal to me, this figure coming out, is the history of Minerva. Now, Minerva actually was the very first female Transformer toy. This is the 1988 original Master Force Minerva, without the stickers on. I kept the sticker sheet separately. Now, this figure goes for a lot of money, and as a result, for going a lot of money and being very difficult to find, especially in this condition without it being yellowed, a lot of fans have not been able to own it and enjoy such a great figure. About a year ago, there was a Korean bootleg by a company called Aladdin, and here it is, mint in box. It was a Korean company that did a bootleg of Minerva, and it's a pretty good bootleg. It's a little loose in some areas, and it actually has better chest details than the original, which I find kind of weird, because it has the medical logo there, which actually makes more sense with Minerva. Little differences here and there between the two, but still, it was one way that people could enjoy an interpretation of the character. But even this bootleg kind of showed up 1 month and then disappeared off the face of the planet. So people once again missed out a chance to enjoy that character. Now, the original G1 toy in 1988 also had a Japanese mailway counterpart, which was, to really play on the words, mail away. Here it is. Now, obviously people are going, well, Protoman, isn't that just your Nightbeat? Yes, it is, actually. Spoiler. But in Japan, Nightbeat didn't come out as Nightbeat like here in America. There was a mailway that you sent in Transformer points, like you do on the back of your packaging, and you got Nightbeat type Minerva, which was pretty much the Nightbeat toy, but in Japan it was considered a Minerva toy. So in a technicality, both of these are technically Minerva, which is kind of funny when you think about it. Here, I'll just, for the heck of it, so you people could see in comparison the two. because unfortunately I had Night Beat in vehicle mode. And there you go. More or less the same thing. So that's that. That was Minerva in 1988. Now, after that, there would be nothing. Nothing for a long, long while. And unfortunately for that, that's what happens when you have a series that was a one-shot. That was a love-hate kind of thing in Japan. Beast Machines is kind of the counterpart to Master Force in that era, of that either people loved it or they hated it. But in 2002, we had a Transformer line called the Mega PVC line. And the Mega PVC line brought about Act 2, Mega PVC, SCF Minerva. Although the Megas were the large ones, these were the small ones. It came in both this one colored edition and clear. They were very limited in articulation, mainly just due to design and assembly. They actually had articulation. It wasn't something purpose. So they were more like they had a very static pose that was expected. But if you wanted to, hey, she's kind of waving. The cool thing about these PVCs from SCF was that they were aiming more for a animation model accuracy. So again, let's just go back to the robot mode here, where a lot of, unfortunately, G1 toys of that era really didn't have a animation model accurate toy. These ones that didn't have to worry about transformation and stuff could sort of achieve that. That's why you have that more feminine shape in the hips and everything. And then, of course, the blockiness that was able to become Night Beat due to it. That was Act 2 in 2002. Now, in Act 5, we had Minerva again in human form, in her French schoolgirl uniform and everything. She actually came with, packed together with Metal Hawk, and I guess the intent was that Metal Hawk was protecting her from Destrons or something before she became a Headmaster Junior. But again, kind of a cool thing that those two came out from that line. That line existed solely to be a giant nod to Generation 1, and then the last two lines were just for Micron, which was known as Armada. But it was cool that they made an effort for Minerva to be included, because she did have some kind of significance, I guess, at least to the Japanese. Now, there would be nothing again for years and years and years, except for two mild homages that would pop up in Galaxy Force. We would have a DVD release pack-in for the second volume of Galaxy Force, which would be the character Chromia, painted up to look like Minerva, and it was called Minerva Type Chromia. We know Chromia in Japan, in America, as a Thunderblast. So, they did a, hey, she's a female character, so let's give her Minerva colors. Not really that much of a significance there aside from that. They did something similar here in America afterwards, was when Nitro Convoy was brought over, the toy. He was turned from a male to a female, and considering that he had colors that were similar to Minerva, the Hasbro color designers, when they did the port over, since the character also had a gender change, just like from Night Beat to Minerva, they changed some of the paint applications on Override to match up more with Minerva that were kind of absent in the Nitro Convoy mold. That being, instead of gold on the face with Nitro Convoy, there was orange, again matching to more Minerva's robot mode from her G1 toy, and little paint apps here and there that really added more to that red and white that was seen in that. Now the final one, before this toy, before our main attraction here, was in Wonderfest 2010-2011 summer, was this one-shot essential license kit of Minerva. Now the problem with these things is that they are very, very, very expensive. They're very limited, and that is how much it costs, by the way. And that's in yen. And worst of all, they're model kits in resin, so they're unpainted. They're glued together, not snap. They require a lot of dexterity and carving, not just taking off of trees. And most importantly, which makes these kind of a hard swallow at that price of 10,000 yen, is that they actually suck even when assembled. These are toys that are really meant to, when you assemble them, you get some really good photo shoots out of them, but they are not meant to be fiddled with. Now, here it is. Here's the good thing about it, is that it had interchangeable stuff. That was kind of the selling point about it, and because, hey, we did not have a human Minerva figure really at that point that had articulation. So this one had with the hair, you know, and she was holding an Energon accessory, and she had a little, you know, medic kit, and she had interchangeable hands and stuff, and a nice attempt. She also had her backpack, but everything falls off on this thing, like, just if you look at it too hard. It also had, again, the head with the suit, and again, here's the attachable hair with minor articulation, but again, if you look at it too hard, it will fall off. But it was a nice attempt. You know, pretty cool. So again, had interchangeable hands too, and if you were even more creative, you had different eyes you could put on it, because these were actually watercolor transfers that you put for the eyes and stuff. So if you were a really creative person and enjoyed, you know, the whole resin kit kind of thing, this was really up people's alley, and it was the only way you got a human Minerva character that was pretty cool. And you have to realize the thing is pretty big. This is next to the original G1 toy, so let me put the head on it and really give it a perspective. But it's a really big figure. So the only problem was it was it was floppy, and at that price, which, you know, if you got it middleman, then you were really getting, you know, sent to the cleaners. But I managed to pay that with shipping, and even then, when the yen costs in 2010 were also, I mean, they're even worse now, but back then they were horrible. So that was it for Minerva. And then this came out. So let's crack this open and let's review this piece of history. Now, Minerva comes with a slew of accessories. She comes with her helmet, which breaks in two for, we'll get into later how it attaches to her head and everything. She comes with a helmet gap filler, which the purpose for that essentially is that if you're going to pose her without her helmet, you could have the pigtail gap closed up so it doesn't show that gaping hole in the back. She comes with 3 faces. She comes with a happy-go-lucky smiling face, a angry, ready for battle kind of face, and the face that the figure is packed with, which is a more serene smile face. She comes with 4 sets of hands. The ones given on the figure, it's an open hand, just kind of relaxed. Then she has 2 closed fists for battle, punching, or whatever. She has 2 splayed open hands for stop or any kind of poses. And then she has 2 holding kind of hands for accessories and stuff, or, again, probably to hold the helmet. She also comes with a humongous stand. That's really big. I'm not very familiar with the CM Corp Gutto Kuru line, but I'm going to assume that all of these come with them, and they were meant for, like, you know, crazy poses and stuff. And you know what, in all honesty, while I probably won't use it for my Minerva, it's a cool thing to have because I'll probably use it with some of my other more mecha-based figures, and it's a nice articulated stand and stuff, so really cool, and it slides and has different positions and everything. So let's get to the figure itself. Now she has, you know, like a basic kind of Revoltech articulation. They're small joints because of her thin, you know, body type, but it's still pretty cool. Articulated on the wrists through pins that, you know, are removable for the fact that you could have the different hands. They turn in every direction. Articulation in the knees. She has a bending toe, which is kind of cool. While probably not very useful for posing and for flat surfaces, it's just interesting that that's there. Double jointed knee. Now here and here is where it gets interesting. she has a joint and a joint there for really good articulation in the legs, meaning that if you put her in certain kicking positions, any kind of molding that would normally get in the way of her posability, because of the second joint, it actually conforms to it and kicks out a second joint. This is kind of like how a human body works with cartilage, and in the same thing here, where you have the molding of her armor, and with most toys, because of the molding, there would be a limitation, but when push comes to shove, that extra joint comes in. Now it kind of looks weird like that, but at least when you do certain poses, it makes sense. And now I would not even be able to put that arm that high if that extra joint didn't exist. So she's able to achieve posability outside of those limitations that normally come from armors and stuff, which is really cool that that exists. Again, I'm not very familiar with this line, but assuming if it's like that with all of them, that's a really cool engineering feat. You know, so that's really awesome for poses and stuff. Now, her hair also has articulation. Now, it seems that they sculpted it in two pieces because they wanted to be able that when she turns her head, this wouldn't get too much affected by it, and it would also kind of flow with it, so that if her head was turned, it still kind of looked like it was one piece with it and didn't affect too much of the articulation. Unfortunately, because of her having long hair and it flowing down, there is a minor amount of limitation, but at least because it's not all one piece, it's not affected too much. Where, again, going back to the Wonderfest one, because it was one piece, you really are limited to where it goes, and then it doesn't look natural too, because if it's turned in a certain direction, it just stays that one plastic shape. Where here, because it's two pieces, when her head's turned, it stays naturally flowing behind it. I just want to remove the head here for a second to show another, almost like an Easter egg that was included with this toy, was her backpack. Now, her backpack, which is, if you're familiar with essentially how this stuff works with Transformers, is that headmasters are consistent of Transformers that are either human or small robots that turn into the heads. I'm going to bring back the original G1 toy here. So this was Minerva, essentially this one here, condensed, and in the back she had a head. Now, they kind of went the extra mile to not only be able to put the head on the back, but to make it, for the animation model, to make it accurate, have its own little transformation to really tuck it away well. So with little twists and turns, it becomes, you know, a whole different thing completely, which is a nice nod. But yeah, like, really awesome that they made that effort. Really, really awesome, because they didn't have to do something like that, but yet they did. And that's pretty cool. We'll get into pretty much how the helmet concept works. Now you have the basic face, like, I guess the examples I'm familiar with are more like model kits that are plastic based, like the Mega Man ones and stuff. You always have the removable front hair or the front of a helmet, and then the face is just there. And then the face is a removable piece too, that's usually made of a more softer resin for flexibility. And then you just feed in the next one, and then you put the hair back. So then she has her angry face. Now the next thing I want to show is essentially the helmet assembly. It's a little different than the traditional way of the head. Now you had the straight up ponytail assembly that was doing a good job with the human head, but it concealed a red piece here. Now the red piece on the back here is actually for the helmet. You line up the two beforehand with its little pegs there. You pick your face of choice. In this case, I'm going to take Serene. I'm naming these as I go. And then you close it all up. And you have Minerva's battle mode helmet, which is pretty awesome. And this is what makes it win so much for me, is that it's able to do all of this stuff so flawlessly. These figures are incredible, and I can't wait for when more of these come out. We've been teased already, going back to what I was going to say with the original Nightbeat one as opposed to the original Minerva. they're going to be doing a Minerva done in the Nightbeat colors, although a lot more blues than that are lacking here with just the one molded yellow. We also have a Ginrai from this line coming out, and then the Minerva is going to come with accessories for the Ginrai to turn him into high Q. So we're going to even have this guy with this guy together at Wonderfest, along with this one, and it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a giant fiesta of awesome. I don't know what more I could say other than pick this up. Like, this is totally an awesome figure. I found it at AmiAmi for about 80 and some change, and then there's shipping. And unfortunately, I don't think it's available at AmiAmi anymore, although I could be wrong, they might restock it. But I know BBTS and other places like TF Source do have it, although there will be a larger price. If you're outside of the United States, there's also the risk of duty, because after shipping, this will go over $100. But it's totally worth it in my opinion for this price, because to me, this is like the masterpiece quality of human Transformer characters. And considering that it's one of those awesome characters that really represent the history, and that being female characters, and being the first female Transformer character. Not you, Friezon. Not you. I don't care what the TF Wiki says. You are not the first Transformers female. So keep reaching for that rainbow, TF Wiki, but it's not going to happen. Minerva, the first female Transformer toy. So this is Protoman of ProtoRetro, and this has been a video review of CM Corp Minerva, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed the historical look at everything that has come of her and everything that will come in the future. Nothing more I could say other than TFCon is coming up as of this recording, so I hope to see you guys there. It's going to be, ignore that, but it's going to be on the 27th, 28th, and 29th, so come on down, shake some hands, say hi, and I'll see you there. So until then, guys, roll out.